Hello, everybody. It's Monday. It's 7:30. We're always on time here. Welcome to Full Time Sports. Yes, Full Time Sports Network, always here every Monday. You'll see there on the new little intro. It says English Premier League. Unfortunately, there hasn't been any Premier League games due to the passing of Her Royal Highness Queen Elizabeth. So we've got a little something else for you today. We're going to keep the content going. But I am joined by some wonderful people today, and I will introduce you to them all. We have Ian. How are you doing, mate?
I'm doing good. I'm in Greece. I met Martin a few days ago, so I'm happy. I'm lying in the sunshine.
It's lucky for some, lucky for some. We'll jump to Martin, seeing as you've just mentioned him. Martin, how you doing, mate? It's your debut today.
Yeah, I'm doing great. It's such an honor to be here. I've never done something like this before. So it's going to be interesting.
It certainly is. It certainly is. And then we've got Rosa, who is our expert on all things La Liga. How are you doing, Rosa?
Hello. Not quite an expert, but very interested. From Tenerife.
From Tenerife.
Yes.
You're all making me jealous. You're all in these nice sunny places. That's where I want to be right now.
Next week, Con, you're away.
Yes, I am. I'm going away for a week. Can't wait. So let's start the show. Obviously, as I've said, there's been no Premier League football on, but we're going to start here. We're going to start at La Liga and Serie A. Now, I know there's a couple of interesting things that have happened over there. So I'll start with Rosa. Obviously, you're our La Liga correspondent as such. What's happened over the weekend in La Liga?
Well, we haven't had any surprises. So the usual subjects won their matches, more or less easily. But at the end of the day, Atletico, Barça, and Real Madrid, they all won by 4-0 or 1. It wasn't easy for Real Madrid, which is my team that I support from birth. But in the end, even though Mallorca had a couple of very good players, and they after Aguirre, he has something that, with very little money, he can put together really good teams. And Mallorca is definitely not a contender for La Liga, I would say, given their budget and current formation. But I think they can be challenging for anyone that's going to play them during this season. Eventually, all turned well for Real Madrid. We managed to score 4 goals, and without Benzema, that was quite difficult to see at the beginning, because Mallorca scored first, but the team somehow got themselves together. Some changes needed to be made, so Ancelotti did not hesitate to take Hazard out of the pitch and to replace by Modric and do some of the changes, so that in the end Rodrigo was playing as forward and in Benzema or Hazard play, and he just did what he had to do. And we managed to see some very good football. Now, Barcelona, they play Cádiz. And even though Cádiz is one of these teams that aren't always in La Liga, they just going up and down and have very little money. The fact is that not beaten Ronaldo, everyone. Yes.
Sorry, do have to apologise. It is from a different. She's coming from a different country, so there might be a little bit of a internet.
Okay. So I was saying,
that's all.
It was a surprise, really, that Barcelona ended up scoring 4 goals in Cádiz, and Lewandowski did not start the formation, but definitely had a lot to do with that 4 goals, scoring himself 2 of them. And I think that is the player that that Xavi needed, and is going to make all the difference for Barca this season. Finally, the team that's also playing other competitions like the Europa League and is Real Sociedad, they had a very bad injury from his newly signed Sadik from Rangers, and they had, all eyes were on him. He was supposed to be the decisive player for Real Sociedad this year, and is now out for the rest of the season. So that's the saddest news that we've had in La Liga this week.
Very in-depth and very Sky Sports-like of you there. Ian looks like he's frozen. I don't know whether he...
Yeah, and Martin's gone completely.
Yeah, or he's been very, very good statue. It's one of the two. Oh,
yeah.
Hold on.
It's just down to you and me.
It is. It's me and you now, apparently. There we go. He's here, look. He's here.
All right. We got him.
Sorry.
We've got him
Hello
back.
again.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you now. I mean, Real Madrid, obviously they are your team. Big up Solo. How are you doing, mate? I hope you're doing well. So Real Madrid going on your team. I don't know whether Ian will agree, but I think Rodrigo is a player that's going to be your next big player. He looks like he's got the talent to go above and beyond.
Yeah.
I think Rodrigo and Vitreous June will rip it up in the World Cup.
Rodrigo.
You watch him going. Watch them and Valverde.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he has absolutely everything to be a very important player in the next few years for Real Madrid. But it seems like an era was coming to an end. Obviously, first of all, when Cristiano left again for Italy and then from Manchester. But we have more and more young players that are very promising, and if their careers, go well and no injuries affect them, I think that we're safe for another 10, 20 years of ruling the world football like we have.
Welcome back, Martin.
We'll see about that.
Thank you.
I'll just ask you.
Rossa, can I ask, are you getting any happier about Eden Hazard?
I just feel sorry for him because every season when he starts, he wants to play, he wants to be important for the team. He just cannot find his place, or he's just not played well for too long. I think he doubts himself very, very much, and obviously he would need minutes, but we can't minutes to someone that is not effective enough and is not part of the team enough on the pitch. So at the end of the day, I don't think that we're going to get much more out of Hazard, unfortunately.
Yeah, there is an echo. I can hear it back as well. So I think Ian and Martin might have to mute themselves whilst they're not talking, just so it doesn't come through. So I do apologise about that. Silver One, how you doing, mate? Our resident Arsenal fan. Hope you're doing well. And Solo again saying big up to everybody on the show. So yeah, we've lost somebody again. It's okay. We'll keep going. We'll keep going. It's interesting to hear your thoughts about Hazard, because at Chelsea he was fantastic. He was really, really good. I mean, I've got a few fans, a few Real Madrid fans as friends, and they say that he's nowhere near what he was.
Yes, I agree. I mean, when he came to Real Madrid, we all had very, very high hopes. But the truth is that, first injuries, and then I think that, psychologically, it's going to be very difficult for him to recover from what is now his fourth season of oblivion.
Do you see him getting booted out?
Sorry?
Do you see him getting transfer listed and sold?
Yes, I am sure that that's what our president, and Ancelotti would love to see him going. But the question is, if he has a contract, where is he going to go, and which
who can afford his wages?
Club is going to want him now when he's proven nothing in so many years.
Indeed.
I mean, maybe back to his country, maybe back to a Belgian team somehow. But I don't even see that happening. I think it's going to be another case of Real Madrid having to pay his wages until the end of his career.
So you mean just like your favourite player, Gareth Bale?
I'm not naming names. You know who I mean.
Ian trying to stir the pot there. Ian trying to stir the pot.
Yeah.
Before Ian tries to stir it even more. Yeah, before Ian tries to stir it even more, we'll move on to Serie A. A very interesting decision was called at Serie A, and it's made a lot of people, let's say, very unhappy. Obviously, we'll go over to Ian about this. Ian, if you want to explain a little bit more for us.
Yeah, Martin can jump in as well on this one a bit. I was following the Juventus game against the team that begins with S. I can't pronounce it. They're mid-table. They've just been promoted. And literally, they were losing 2-0. And our old friend Bonucci managed to put the ball away on a second attempt for a penalty. And then they equalised in injury time. Quite controversial. One player was then there was a winning goal. Now VAR chalked it off as offside, but actually there was two issues. One, the player that we're referring to at offside didn't actually touch the ball and wasn't interfering with play. And the second one was actually when you look further afield, there was one of the opposition players playing onside. An awful ruck then ensued because the guy who'd scored the winning goal whipped his shirt off. He'd already been booked before, so he was sent off. And then there was a mass brawl, and two other guys got sent off. But the result was it ended up as 2-2. And I thought that was interesting because clearly clubs are resting players for the European games and trying to get away with a win. Because I know it's not Serie A, but I also noticed that Bayern Munich, who got held to a 2-2 draw as well as Juventus. But, can you imagine Bayern Munich playing at home and leaving Sane and Mane? It sounds like a sandwich combination, doesn't it? Sane and Mane on the bench. And then you lose points for the third match running for Bayern Munich to protect yourself for Barcelona in the next, so clearly the Champions League, Barcelona resting Lewandowski, Bayern resting Sane and Mane, and then Juventus, again patching up their team. It's a bit strange, really.
It is very, very strange. I want to hear Martin's thoughts on this old Juventus.
You've been looking at a few players in the Italian league. Guys, I didn't even realise Harry Winks was out of Sampdoria.
No, out on loan.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about the Juventus game. If you look at the injuries that Juventus has now, you have Chiesa, you have Di Maria, you have Pogba. If you look at the team on Juventus,
you can't recognise the team.
No, and it's not a Juventus team. Juventus always has this great players, star players. And when I look at the starting 11, I don't know even. Some of the players I don't know, and I'm not used to that when it comes to Juventus. When Juventus won the Serie A for 9 years in a row, and now I can't see how they can challenge for the title. And as you said, I don't know if they rested the player for the Champions League because, or is it because of the injuries? I don't know how long. I know Pogba is going to be away for a long time, and I'm hoping Pogba is going to be the player he was at Juventus when
he's even struggling to make the World Cup. Never mind.
Yeah, it's probably missed the World Cup.
You were talking about some other players in Serie A that you found interesting. I mentioned the guy I can never pronounce, Origi.
Origi. We would say Sweden.
He went to AC Milan.
Yep.
And he's hardly played, and the Italians at AC Milan are calling him the worst signing in their history. A bit rash after 9 games.
Yep, and he's played 47 minutes. If in total, so he hasn't got the starting chance, But I was thinking about the team that we can't pronounce, Salentina. I would say it's interesting because they have now Ribéry is injured, but they have a lot of players like Candreva, they have Ribéry, they have Fabri.
Frank Ribery plays for them.
Yeah, but he's the captain. He's 39 next year. No, 40 next year. He's born 83. But they also have Candreva. They have Fabrizio. What was his name? Fazio. I think he played for Tottenham.
Yeah.
Like when I see the team, like they have gathering a bunch of oldies.
Yeah.
And they ended 17 last season in Serie A, and they played 2-2 against Juventus. And that's
Pronounce the team again.
I would say Salernitana. I don't know.
Did you know that Frank Ribery played for them, Colin?
Only from FIFA.
Yeah.
Okay.
Only through FIFA.
But you were talking about some other interesting players in the Italian league.
Yeah, but and then a lot of teams. But also look, I was watching the game before Atlanta played against. Who did it play against?
Atlanta are second now.
Pardon?
They're second in the
Yeah, and when I look at the Atlanta team, like the strikers, Zapata and Muriel, now Zapata was injured, but like my feeling is that Gasparini's Atalanta is not where they were a couple of years ago, but they are in the second place, you know?
And they're a selling club. They've sold 4 or 5 big players.
Exactly. And they played against Cremonese. And I saw the highlights from the game, and you know, there was I don't see them in the top in the end of the season, but one team that I really like and one player, and I can't pronounce him, is the Georgian Messi.
Oh yeah.
Who did a great start.
He plays for Napoli, isn't he?
Napoli, left winger, did the great start in the beginning of the Champions League.
Yeah.
I don't want to say his name because I would probably say Kirchvali or something.
Yeah, he plays for Napoli. He's a Georgian player. He's a winger, and I think he would have been one of the main thorns in Liverpool's side last week. And to be fair to Liverpool, Napoli are top of the league. They're the form team in Italy.
And that is the player for the big team in Premier League to look after, because I saw him against Sweden. He killed Sweden. He was the best player at the field.
So he must be the new Georgie Kinklatse. You won't remember him, Ross will, but City had this Georgian player in the 90s called Georgie Kinklatse, and he ripped it up for a couple of seasons. He was awesome.
Yeah, legend.
It's the only decent player we had.
During those years. Yeah. But this guy.
Anyone else in the Italian league you were watching? You were talking about a couple of players. I didn't realise Harry Winks played for Sampdoria.
No. I don't know if he's going to play much, but I'm thinking about in Milan. Rafa, and now we get a red card in the game. Milan won 2-1, but he got a red card. But the Portuguese winger last season, together with Frank Kessie, he was the best player.
He's now at Barcelona, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a Barcelona free transfer. You know, his contract ended.
Yeah, and he's a good player.
Yeah, but I don't know if he's been started yet. But I hope so, because he was magnificent.
Interesting things going on in Italy. You know, Juventus not the team they were. Napoli followed by Atlanta in the top 2. Wow. Milan after that, and also surprisingly, well, Ross will grin and yell about this. Mourinho's Roma, who we thought would go on from strength to strength, are down in 7th place, and there's mumblings and groanings there. Dybala has not hit the deck running at all. Abraham is out injured, and they're struggling, Roma, to keep that momentum they had last season. And then when you go back across in Germany, to find that Berlin are top of the league and not Bayern Munich. So there's lots of, apart from Spain, where it's the usual suspects, Italy and Germany at the moment are very different teams are doing well there. Dortmund, I noticed, who City are playing, are doing quite well. I think they're 3rd. But Bayer Leverkusen, I noticed, was 2nd bottom in the Bundesliga.
You said before also. Yeah, sorry.
Go on, Rosa.
Sorry, I was going to say, it's one of the factors that those bigger clubs with more international players are very aware of how the season is going to be broken in 2 and how some of their players are going to come back probably from the World Cup. And so they're now trying to not give them all the minutes that they need for those clubs to be on top of their leagues, and a bit of a strategy because of the unusual situation that this season is going to have in the middle.
Yeah.
It is going to be a very strange season, but if you think about it, if you're AC Milan or Inter Milan or Juventus, you want to go into the World Cup top, as does Bayern Munich, because those other clubs like Mönchengladbach or Berlin, they will hardly have any internationals going to the World Cup. So, if they're not top of their league, if those big clubs are not right at the top, they're going to get a double whammy because their players are then going to be knackered by the time they get back from the World Cup. And those other teams, the Atlantas of this world and the Berlins of this world, will have pretty rested teams. It's going to be a very interesting situation.
You see, the thing is as well, obviously, the World Cup is not very far away, but they're also playing the Champions League and the Europa League games at the moment as well. So you've got teams such as, for instance, Man City, who haven't won it. It's probably one of their aims to win it. They're not like Manchester United, who have won it a couple of times. We're not that fussed. Or Real Madrid that have won it a couple of times.
We should have won it a couple of times, but you're right.
But we'll speak a little bit.
If that's what you're asking a couple of times, you can have it.
Rossa and I once went to a famous game. I think it was 6 years ago. It was the semi-final of the Champions League at the Bernabeu, and City were playing Real Madrid. I think it's 6 years ago, Rossa. Yeah. And
it's fun.
I think it was 1 each from the first leg when away goals counted, and all City had to do was score at the Bernabeu, and ended up as 0-0. It was gutted.
It's it's Champions League. I don't know what you want to call it. Here we are.
I don't know what it is. I have no idea what to call it. City should have won last year. 6 years ago, they should have won against Chelsea. Anyway, I'll be boring now.
So we've got all the Champions League results here. We'll go through. You don't have to speak about all of them. We'll just pick one or two, that you can talk about which ones would shock you the most. I think that Chelsea defeat is a bit of a big one, really. To me, it's a very big one. But as you can see on there, Ian's happy. Man City beat Seville 4-0. And Rosa would be happy as well.
Seville are having a tough time at the moment. It was debatable whether Julian Pettigrew, if I've got his pronunciation right, he might have got sacked. Yeah, sorry, say him again.
Lopetegui.
Yes.
It's a Basque name. It's unpronounceable.
But they managed to win, I think it was 3-2 or whatever over the weekend, which kind of saved his job. But Seville have really struggled. So actually, the 2 points on that is that Napoli are playing incredibly well. So maybe everyone should, I hate to say this, but cut Liverpool a little drip for losing to Napoli. But at the same time, Man City were always going to smash Seville because they're playing really badly at the moment.
Yeah.
Form teams and out of form teams.
Yeah. So before I go over to you guys and let you pick a game, and obviously you can discuss it between yourselves a little bit about whether it's upset on that. I have to ask the question because we all know what the English fans feel about this. So I want to get an outsider's opinion. Liverpool, obviously they're having a horrid time at the minute in the league and in the Champions League, losing 4-1 to Napoli. Do you think it's just a blip, or do you see it being a bit more of an issue?
Ian?
Me? I think they're unlucky in midfield at the moment. They've got all the key midfielders out, so that's not helping them. And I think Darwin Núñez is having some settling in time. But boy, they miss Mane. I was surprised that Liverpool didn't go out and strengthen their midfield. I was very surprised. But I would have thought, sorry, I'm just going to put a bit more battery in. I would have thought Liverpool would have been one of those teams quite pleased that the weekend's fixtures were called off to give them more repair time on their injuries and more time to get over the Napoli. You could call it a fiasco, but at the same time, Napoli are on form. Sorry,
Rosa?
some emergency battery repairs.
I was very surprised with that result. I don't know if it's just a matter of injuries, which could be, but we all know what starting the season like Liverpool can do to their morale and the team doubting themselves, even Klopp doubting if he's doing the right thing. So I think that having started so poorly and then losing 4-1 to Napoli, which is not the best football there is there. We'll see what happens tomorrow with Ajax. I think that it could be a good opportunity for them to get a win and maybe change the dynamics from there. But if they lose again tomorrow, it's going to be very difficult for them, both in the Champions League and in the Premier League.
Yes, very interesting. We've got one more person to hear from. So, what's your opinions on Liverpool so far this season?
Yeah, I've been watching not all of the games in Premier League, but I'm surprised. I'm very surprised. I just want to say about the Napoli game, the Georgian guy that I won't pronounce. He was great that game, and he had his breakthrough in the European big scene. But you said midfielder. They have loaned. Is it Arthur as a replacement?
That's true.
And I don't know how good he is. I think he's born like 96, so he should be on his top of his career. But he had didn't so well in Barcelona, and he didn't made an impact in Juventus. But it should be a reserve for Liverpool and that team, because the injury on Thiago has been not been good for them. But we were discussing Van Dijk. Like, has he not loosened it? But I don't know, because Van Dijk for me is up there. One of the best defender in the world. I love it.
He's looking like flipping Lurch from the Adams family at the moment. I don't know whether he's just not got the protection in front of him. If you think about it, you've got Keita injured, you've got Thiago injured, you've got Henson injured.
Yeah.
But then I was mystified that Fabinho, who I thought was a great player, again has gone off the ball. And he was the guy who used to protect Van Dijk from players running at him. But Van Dijk suddenly looks really warm.
Yeah, and also they've been playing because Matip injured after the first game, I think, Joe Gomez. And I'm sorry for you Englishmen out there, but Joe Gomez hasn't. I don't say it's bad, but he hasn't. These games they haven't done that well. So
he hasn't developed. When he came on the scene about 4 years ago, Joe Gomez, I thought he was going to be. And he got England caps quite early. Yeah. I thought he was going to be an England centre-back regularly. He did get a whole series of injuries.
Yeah, big injuries.
And he hasn't come back looking like he's developed as a player.
Yeah, and I think he's 27 now. I think he's born 95. So this year's maybe he's younger. But you were hoping he would be on a higher level now. Yeah. But also, but still, Harvey Elliott. He's been playing great.
He's fantastic.
He's been playing great. And Firmino, I love Firmino, by the way. I think he's a great footballer. His stats doesn't show how good he is, and he's also been good. And I can't understand how they've been so much trouble. I think they've how do you say when a team goals? I think they have hold one. Yeah. When you don't getting in goals, how do you say?
Don't concede.
Concede goals. Yeah. Only one game? Was it for
That's right. You're right. So they've conceded heavily at the back, and yet technically people say they've got four the best defenders. You've got Robertson, you've got Alexander-Arnold, you've got Van Dijk. You shouldn't, and Alisson in goal. You shouldn't be conceding.
Yeah, and Fabinho.
But it could be about the lack of protection in front.
Yeah, but Fabinho, Mill, and hard-working now when the injuries, I can't see how.
So what we're saying, we're a bit mystified. And I'd also say Mo Salah, as soon as he signed that big new contract, a bit like Aubameyang at Arsenal, it's like, somehow it's gone.
Yeah.
I want to say it.
When Aubameyang got signed that big contract at Arsenal, after that, he just fell off a cliff.
Who did you say?
I'm gonna have to move us on slightly. Otherwise, you two will be here talking forever. So I'm gonna have to move us on slightly. Before we go on a little bit, I just want to say hello to Monday. How are you doing? He's a member of the Agenda. Footmoss saying Leipzig getting owned was weird, and Rangers not doing very well either. So we'll come to you, Rosa. Out of all those matches there, which one was the most shocking for you?
The Liverpool was shocking, and I did not expect Chelsea to lose in Croatia. I know it's just, you know, a hiccup, and they'll fly through this group stage, etc. But just losing the first game, I don't know, somehow there's always a danger that underestimating teams like Zagreb, etc. in the group stage, it's very tricky, because it only takes another mistake like that and you're out before it even started.
However, I would say Real Madrid lost to Sheriff last year and still won the Champions League.
Yeah. It's not the first time it's happened with Real Madrid. We've won many of our 14 cups with a bad start. But it's always, you know, I think that there is a danger when you're playing this group stage. Players are not as motivated. They have other things in their mind. They think they're going to fly through it. And all I'm saying is, it only takes another bad day for you to be out before it's dead. So Chelsea should have won away to Zagreb easily.
Yes. I mean, one for everyone to keep in mind as well with Chelsea is they've just signed a manager who has no Champions League experience. So that's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. I'll come to the two boys on holiday, lavishing it up in the sun. Which games have shocked you?
Yeah, I would say first the Chelsea game. I can't say I know so much about Zagreb, and I think Kante is still injured. I don't think he's played. He's so important for Chelsea, but when I look at that team, I understand. I don't understand why it don't work, you know. And now they've sacked Tuchel, and you said that he has no experience of the European Cup, Graham Potter. But I will say when he coached in Sweden, he were playing Europa League with Östersund.
Champions League. Champions League.
Yeah. I know. But I really like Graham Potter. But that game, and also of course the 4-1 for Liverpool, you know, defeated on Napoli. But still, the Georgian player, you know, is something extra.
If we could pronounce his name, we'd do well.
Kvitsa.
That's the man.
We're not far off.
The other amazing bit, if we bring life down to the very grassroots, is how on earth did Shakhtar Donetsk, bearing in mind all the trials and tribulations that's going on in that country, how on earth did they thump Leipzig at Leipzig? How did that happen? You know, Shakhtar Donetsk have lost all their best players. They don't have a stadium of their own. How on earth did they do that? They have history and pedigree, but how did they do that?
Yeah, that's true.
That's the most remarkable win, really, when I run through those results.
In a way, also.
Yeah.
Let's just hope that Leipzig still feels weak tomorrow when they're playing at Bernabeu.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Yeah, and don't you go thrashing those Shakhtar Donetsk boys. They're having a tough enough time as it is.
Yeah. No, and I think they'll probably go through this group stage together with us. I think
brilliant. Brilliant.
They don't have the best chance, so yeah.
Yeah, it'd be brilliant for Ukraine if they did.
It would be brilliant. But let's move on to the tournament that actually matters this season.
Thursday night.
And that's the Europa League, the trophy that actually matters this season. We'll skip over the whole Sociedad United game. We don't need to talk about that game. Don't need to talk about that game at all.
Can't we mention David Silva? Can't we talk about David Silva?
If you want to talk about it, we could talk about how it was completely rigged, because that penalty was never a penalty.
Yeah, I only read about it. I didn't watch the game. I did hear that United were unlucky, but you have to, the romance of the fact of David Silva going back to Manchester, getting a victory there. And there was a load of the supporters went to the Man City ground and had lots of pictures around the statue of David Silva. I just think Rossi, you've got a view about the club he decided to join. Yeah, you think it was a great decision.
I do think it's a great decision for him. I think that he wanted to come back to Spain. Real Sociedad there's no pressure there. They're always mid-table. They're known for playing very good, serious football, but there is no pressure to win anything, which they aren't. And San Sebastian is a wonderful place is to live. Is rated year in, year out the best city in Spain to live. So I think he's just made a very wise decision there, and he's enjoying football, very good football without any pressure. And I think it's a very good way to spend your last 2-3 seasons, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, Colin, you can escape now, Colin. We'll talk about someone else.
Well, that's all I'll say. All I'll say is it's just a bit weird, that the penalty's been given when it wasn't a penalty. VAR messing up yet again in my eyes. But I'm going to be a Calder bias because I'm a Man United fan. Fair bit. We'll talk about the other Premier League team.
Just remember, Real Madrid lost at home to Sheriff and still won the Champions League. So keep the faith.
True. We'll talk about the other Premier League team there. Arsenal taking their fine Premier League form into the Europa League, beating FC Zurich 2-1. Arsenal, one of the favourites to win it.
Yeah, well, I thought they got away with it as well because they rested a lot of players there. Little did they know they didn't need to because the weekend's fixtures were cancelled. But actually, they rested an awful lot of players and got that away win. So you've got to take your hat off to Arteta there. That gamble paid off for him. It could have backfired, and I think they only won late on. But I think they made about 8 or 9 changes and still managed to get an away win in that competition, which is hats off to Arteta.
Yeah. Out of all of them, biggest result out of all of them for somebody?
Any Swedish teams in there?
Yeah, I was thinking about that question, and I'm thinking about Bodø Glimt. As I'm not Norwegian, I'm Swedish, but I think they pronounce it kind of like that. But they have lost their best players. Bodø Glimt won against Roma last season. Ended like quarterfinal something in Europa League. And they have sold their best players to Italy, actually. Erik Botheim, a friend of Haaland. But I think it's really impressive playing away in PSV Eindhoven because they are a little team from Norway and lost their best players and still able to play that football and do results in Europe. And also Malmö, the Swedish team who won last season, but they've been terrible this season. They probably missed the all European Cups. They lost 0-2 against Braga at home, and it was probably it's not a shock that they lost.
Who are the guys who beat Roma? Where are they from?
Bodø Glimt, they're from Norway.
No, these guys here.
Ludogorets.
Ludogorets.
How do you say Vitryssland is the Swedish word? You say White Russia. You say Belarus.
They're from Belarus, yeah.
Yeah, Ludogorets is from Belarus, I think.
Wow. Can I just say quickly, Betis, which is the second team from Seville, with very little money, near to nothing, and they did a fantastic Liga last season in Spain, and now they're playing this Europa League now for the first time. They're doing really well, and I've got to give all the credit to an old friend of Ian's, Mr. Pellegrini.
Yeah.
Is Joaquin still play?
Joaquin is still part of the team.
Oh, wow.
And he will be until he's 85, yeah. But, Pellegrini has turned the team in a way that we've never seen them play like this in my life. So I always
remember the chant at City. The chant on his first game, they went, Sheikh Mansour went to Spain in his Lamborghini. He came back with a manager, Manuel Pellegrini. So
he's very good. He still has it. I have a lot of time for Pellegrini. I love him.
He was known as this charming man.
Yeah,
but it was after a Smith song. The banners were this charming man.
It really is.
Yeah, I mean, we're very quickly running out of time. We're nearly 40 minutes in, so if you have been here throughout, please do like, share, subscribe. Leave a comment as well. Talk to us. We're all here to talk to. So we're going to fly through this little next section because there is something I really want to speak about before we end the show. And I think it's very, very important that we do speak about it. So, I mean, I apologise about them being squished. If you can see them, I would like you all to pick one game that you think is going to be the most interesting game from the UEFA Champions League.
We're all going to pick the same game.
Probably.
Tomorrow is going to, for me, it's going to be Barcelona and Bayern. That's the game to watch. Yeah, and I wouldn't mind if Bayern wins. That's what I'm going to say.
We've got to find a bar somewhere here to watch that game, and it's a monster game. You know, the return so quickly of Lewandowski to Bayern Munich. We were talking about while we were swimming today about what sort of reception he might get and by the fans. We think generally it might be okay. Actually, he might get a decent ride because he didn't go to a competitor. But that's such a game, isn't it?
But they were disappointed at him, if I understand the news correct, because and I think that's what he has done for Bayern Munich and so many goals he scored. He deserves. He doesn't deserve that. How do you say that?
Aggression. Yeah, negative aggression.
But I hope the supporters will applaud him.
Yeah. Well, let's see.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
Oh. My game's different from all of yours. I think mine's Man City versus Borussia Dortmund.
Yeah, I was going to say, are you nervous about that one, Ian?
I heard something on Twitter or something in the last couple of hours saying that game might get switched to a neutral venue. Have you heard anything, Colin?
I haven't heard anything about that. No, I haven't heard anything about that.
Dortmund, I think, are sitting third or fourth, so they're playing quite well in the Bundesliga. Am I nervous about it? No, not really. I think City can do it. I think they'll have appreciated the rest of the weekend. I feel more with the style of play they've got at the moment, with Haaland through the middle. I feel supremely confident. I think they can do well. I'm not overly worried. Why are you guys looking so worried? Ross is there looking like I'm
I worry no matter who we play. I always worry, and I think that you seem to be very confident with someone that hasn't won one single Champions League yet.
I love it. You can come back. We
always do well in the group stages.
Yeah, the group stages don't win you trophies, though. Let's move on to the Europa League, Thursday night cup. Out of all these, which one's the one to watch?
Who we got?
Oh, I've got to say, Callum, careful with Sheriff. Do not trust them. They're capable.
So who's playing Sheriff?
Man United.
Man United.
The best team in Manchester.
Sheriff. Oh God, they're not in Manchester.
And the way.
It would be funny, wouldn't it? It would be funny if United lost the Sheriff, but
no,
surely not.
Not after that defeat on Sociedad. They can't.
Maybe if it happens like it happened to Real Madrid, maybe that if they lose there, it's a sign that Manchester United is going to win the competition.
Well, sometimes having all that heritage of winning trophies enables a team like Sheriff or whatever to play out their skin. Whereas, against Manchester United or Real Madrid, it will be the biggest day of those players' lives.
Absolutely.
So
yeah,
they'll do everything.
Mm-hmm.
Colin, are you worried?
Yeah, I'm always worried. I'm same as Rosa. No matter who we play, I'm worried. Come on, we've seen United get beat 4-0 by Brentford this season, and we've seen them beat Liverpool 2-1. You just don't know which United team's going to turn up. So yeah, of course I'm worried.
Sympathise with that.
Unless Ten Hag's strategy is to get out of that competition quickly and focus on the finishing in Champions League place.
I don't think it is. I think Ten Hag knows that this is probably his only chance to get Champions League football is by winning this competition.
That's a question then for you, Colin. Do you think it's tougher winning that Europa League to qualify for the Champions League or getting fourth place?
Getting fourth place is so much harder.
Yeah.
In my personal opinion, it's so much harder because, like, back when I was growing up, 90s and whatnot, you could pretty much pin your top four up every single season. And now you've got the challengers of like, you know, Spurs, City. You're going to have people like Newcastle that are going to come into the fold. Brighton have been doing really, really well. They might not have the legs to obviously stay there, but then you've got Arsenal who have started really well. So it's a lot more competitive than it is because you've got to sustain it over a longer period of time, whereas the Europa League and the Champions League is basically, it turns into a knockout system, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, we'll see.
I agree.
What do you think about Casemiro? Will he start soon?
I hope so. I really do like Casemiro. When I've seen him come on, he's like instantly the most intelligent player on the pitch. You know, he's looking around constantly. He's picking up the ball. You can see all the calmness, all the experience that he's brought with him, and he just doesn't panic. So I'm hoping to see him on the pitch a lot more, and I want to see him and Eriksen partner up a lot more as well.
And McTominay on the bench?
And McTominay on the first plane anywhere.
Rosso, what did you think of Casemiro? Were you disappointed to lose him?
I was, because I think that he still has a couple of seasons in front of him, good seasons in front. But like I said to you before, I think that we have too many very good young players that deserve to play now, or else we lose them, and then we end up without Casemiro and without them. So it was a perfect time for him to go. I wish him all the best at Manchester United. And now Valverde can play, and Camavinga, and it's
Camavinga's like for like, isn't he?
Yeah, Camavinga is very good. So it's Valverde, who really, I think that if Casemiro had stayed, it would be his last season with us, because it's too good to be on the bench like he's been in the past couple of seasons, and now he's going to be a regular. So, you know, I think it's very sad to see players that have been so vital and so good for Real Madrid go. But they do have to go, because we can't afford to have 11 old players on the pitch. And it was just the right time. And I think it's going to be an asset completely for United for the next 2-3 seasons. Yeah,
I do have to agree though. I do have to agree. Before we move on to the last subject, I think it's a really big one, this one. I'm glad I'm managing to get it in finally, because it's going to be interesting to see what people actually do think. Just going to plug some upcoming shows that are happening on the Full-Time Sports Network. Tomorrow night, we have Rebels Fantasy Football. So please join Rebel, myself, and Ross there tomorrow, where we're talking all things fantasy football. That links in with the fact that 7 games in the Premier League have been given the okay to play, and they start on Friday with Aston Villa versus Southampton, Forest versus Fulham, and then it goes into the weekend, which Full-Time Sports will be covering, so make sure you join us there as well. And the big show for anybody that is currently watching all of this and are interested in the Champions League and Europa League, especially the Europa League, on Thursday night, 10 to 8, we are going live with Thursday Night Football. Ian, I know, and probably Rosa, you know, your teams are playing on the glorious Tuesdays and Wednesdays, not the Thursdays. But anybody that is interested in Thursday Night Football, please do tune in at 10 to 8, and you'll be joined by Bobby, who will run us through the action as it unfolds with the latest score updates. Obviously, he's not going to be very happy because the Arsenal game has been called off due to recent events. So, this is the talking point.
Were you surprised that United Leeds was called off?
Yeah, I was, but I kind of do understand why. I do understand why it's been called off.
Because of the massive police presence?
Yeah, because of the police presence that's needed. Because the police presence that's needed, that's why. But this is the final topic. We've got 10. I'll give us 10 minutes, so we'll have gone an hour. A bit longer than what we normally do on the show, but we'll go an hour. This is the final topic of today, and it's one that I really need to discuss. Is Cristiano Ronaldo done at top flight level?
It's not going to take us 10 minutes. Yes, he's completely done.
I think he is. It was interesting. A player who I loved, who's on the back of my shirt here, Fernandinho. And when he went from 36 to 37, it made such a difference. And he was a very, very fit guy. You could just see it gone on the pitch. But, on a separate topic, Casemiro plays the same position as Fernandinho, and he's bigger and stronger. And he's only 30, so he may have more than 2 or 3 good seasons, and we could have 5. He could have a whole full 5 contract. But I think so. But if he's used as an impact sub, a bit like Griezmann, at Atletico, if he's proud enough to be an impact sub, then surely he can do 20 minutes. But in my view, I think he'll get to the World Cup. He'll play the World Cup, and then he'll desperately seek a January move away. Maybe to America, if they'll let him in after that. After that charge in Vegas.
I say no. I still believe in Ronaldo. He has done so much in his career, and his stats is talking for themselves. They are unbelievable. I can't see him on the bench the rest of the season like a sub. I think Ronaldo. No.
Zlatan at 37 was still going for it, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's 41 in October, and now he's injured, but he still scores. Ronaldo's body shape, physique is unbelievable.
You brought up stats. You brought up stats. Now, on the channel and on the Man United Agenda, which I appeared on every now and again, I am known as the Statman. That is my nickname. You can see there's a few stats up at the top there, but I've also got some more stats for you. So Ronaldo has scored 0 goals. That's 178th in the Premier League. That's where he's ranking. He's had 0 shots on target so far this season, which puts him at 201st ranked. He's had 4 big chances, and his expected goals are 0.54. I mean, it's not like he hasn't played minutes either. He's had 207 minutes in the Premier League over the 6 games, and 90 minutes in the Europa League, and has still yet to score a goal.
I think that
I was talking about the stats, but I talked about the last season. But it's like I don't want him to be. He's like one of the best footballer in history. I don't want him to be over. No.
It's like when a great movie star starts to do bum movies when he's old.
Yeah,
like Robert De Niro.
De Niro, I was thinking of the same. Like Robert De Niro. The last
you will
10
Robert
years.
De Niro to make a decent movie, but he hasn't.
Irishman was good.
Yeah. Okay.
It was good.
I think that Ronaldo could be very, very valuable for the club as a team leader, and to be fresh and playing in the most decisive moments. And, as a leader and inspiration for everyone in the club and younger players, etc. But he doesn't accept that role for himself. He's not going to, fade into the sunset or go away gracefully. He still thinks he's the Ronaldo he was 10 years ago, and he doesn't accept what he can and cannot do now. And obviously we all realize that what he can't do now in terms of football, even though, yes, physically, obviously he's very, very fit for his age. He should be playing a different role in the team now, but he doesn't accept that. And that's where the problem comes, for the club as a whole, for the team, for the manager and everyone. So he could be a solution, and he's turning himself probably into a problem for the club.
Yeah, a lot of United fans are saying that Ronaldo is the problem and not the solution. However, I'm not one of those United fans that say that. When all this transfer business went off about him wanting to leave and everything, I was saying, okay, if you want to go, go, because we don't need players that don't want to be here. Basically, we're in a rebuild. So if he wants to go, let him go. But he's a natural born winner. He's won everything there is to win in football. So having somebody like that in your camp is amazing to have, because it's going to bring up the expectations of everybody else around him as well. That's my personal opinion on him. I think Ronaldo's
he hasn't
one of the
won the
best players in
Europa
the world.
League, and you thought he would have tried
He is this year.
last game.
He is this year. He's just warming into it. He's warming into it. That's all. That's all. So don't worry about it.
You don't think that he can be a problem in that, he insisted in playing and having all the minutes to himself. And we all know that Ronaldo has this style of playing where he needs, 9 other players playing for him to shine. And I think that can be, especially for the younger players, it's not necessarily a good thing because they feel like they all have to be playing for just him to shine. He's never really a team player.
No, he hasn't ever really been a team player. I think the system that Ten Hag's trying to implement will work. It worked for him at Ajax with Haller. I think it'll work exactly the same as what he did there for Ronaldo. He's brought in Anthony and he's brought in players that'll cross the ball into the box, which Ronaldo loves. He loves balls in the air. He loves to get on the end of them, So I think it'll work out well for him. He just needs to get it going. As soon as he scores one, he'll start scoring more and more and more, I think.
But do you think, because when we say, is he done? Do you think this could be his last season?
I think this will be his last season at Manchester United. As much as it'd be horrible to see him go again, especially if they don't get Champions League football. If they don't get Champions League football, I could probably see him going back to somewhere like Sporting, where it all kind of began for him, and seeing that his career there.
I think it's the end of an era because with Cristiano and Messi both, going downhill rapidly, that we say, it's definitely the end of an era where the two of them have ruled European football for over 10 years.
Yeah.
But it's also exciting to see that there's going to be more up-and-coming players that will take that place.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like you said,
maybe a bit like the US Open, a bit like the US Open tennis, which was the absolute gateway to the future, both in the women's and the men's game. I've got a feeling this World Cup will be all about the younger players. I think the icon players will have gone. Messi and Ronaldo won't make an impact, but your man Rodrigo and Vinicius Jr., they probably will.
Indeed.
I think it's going to be a different World Cup.
So we've hit nearly an hour, so we'll end the show there, and I'm going to end it with this little thing here. The era of Messi and Ronaldo might be ending, but the year of Haaland and Mbappe could only just beginning. And on that note, guys, good night.